What's going on today? Well, there's all the bitty bits now. I've done a bunch of painting, which was a bit boring to show you, just prepping stuff, doing a few little welds here and there on things as necessary. And now we're just kind of spreading things out to see what hardware we need, if we've got the right bushings, bits of rubber and neoprene in the right places, that sort of thing. Make sure everything is painted, ready to go. Which brought me to the silver painting of things too. So the intercooler and the radiator, the end tanks all needed finishing up, and we've got rid of the evap system, so we actually were able to just cut off the pipe and weld that up, which is handy. So they're drying, ready to go. We found the brake sort of regulator. It sort of regulates pressure front to rear. I'd forgotten about that, so give them that lick of paint, and we missed a couple of spots on these bits. So while that's all drying, we're going to get the pipework out. Some of it we want to wrap. So how well that will go, I don't know. But I guess we'll soon find out. Ballingage! So I learned a few techniques as I was going along, which started with this area, as you can probably tell, and then finished sort of this ends, which look obviously a lot better. And what you didn't see is I've done a little bit on the turbo outlet just before it goes into the intercooler, just to help a little bit. There is fresh air coming in here, but the general engine temperatures are going to be pretty high, the engine bay temperatures, so anything to keep those temperatures down will be good. Pointless if this pipe is warming up to then blow even hotter air through the intercooler. The intercooler has to do even more work. Return goes straight into the engine, so that's fine. Run out of paint, so we'll clean up that later. This is basically intake. So this comes from the air filter, and then up to a bend which comes into here. This comes round, last elbow into the turbo. So again, nice cold intake we've got. Try and keep it just, even if it's 1 or 2 degrees less with this on, I think that's worth it. Again, engine temperatures in the bay are going to get pretty warm, and a lot of this pipework runs behind a radiator. So the next thing to wrap up is to help with bay temperatures again is exhaust. And these 2 bits of fiberglass silicone pipework are going to go on some coolant pipes, namely the ones that go by the exhaust. This one here and this one back here. So down pipe get wrapped, these 2 get wrapped, and that should keep some coolant temperatures and engine bay temperatures under wraps as well. Under wraps, ba-dum-bum. And then we've got our 2 wraps running on the 2 pipes along to here. I've done this because the main down pipe will come down here and pass. This shielding originally went a bit further, but because there's no cat here, that gets really hot, and I'm going to wrap it. I've got rid of that so we can have some of the orange bling through. We have a little bit of protection obviously for the pipe there, and we've also switched out some random kind of nasty clamps. There's some nice stainless ones, proper Jubilee stainless, so that's pretty mint. So now, continuing with the musical rap theme, let's go rap this. That's a wrap. Don't want to get all tied up in all these puns. So we're just laying everything out for organisation purposes, but also for you know, the old Instagram shot, which we've just taken. We've been organising things with its hardware as best as we possibly can. Now there are some bits that I'll just have to find as I go along, but to make sure we've got new hardware, and preferably stainless where it's exposed to the elements. But we're doing little things as we go. So engine mounts, made sure we've got the right length bolt there and the hardware for that. These nuts are for the main engine mounts, which you've just chucked a lick of paint on, which is cool. Which is for this and this one, and some stainless nice bolts I'd already ordered for those. That's good. That's going to go on the steering column. I'm not going to glue that together yet because I want to get the position just right. Radiator mount, we've put the old neoprene rubber underneath for that to sit on, and the 2 bolts appropriate with that. So we'll wrap that up and put it in the same box with the radiator, whichever box that happens to be. We have painted the end tanks because they were all scarred, and done a sort of brushed finish on the top and the bottom of the radiator. It's all got dirty marks on it now, so that's great. And new cap on the top and new clamp, and then we put a little bit of the old plumber's tape on there to seal that up. So that looks fine and dandy, ready to wrap up. We painted all the end tanks on the intercooler as well at the same time, so that can go into a cooling box. The brakes, we put the new brake pads, pedal rubbers on, so that's cool. This is sort of the compensator, got the hardware for that. Hardware on, ready to bolt that in from the, because it goes from the outside, and the plate that covers it, put the little bit of rubber on it, pre-cut that, ready to go. So that's ready to fire into the car as soon as the car is here. And then the other hardware for bolting this in. And then the ECU mounts, we've put the bits of rubber on that as well, and got our bolts ready for that, which is cool. We didn't have any stainless bolts for this, and this is going to be on the bulkhead, so we've ordered those. For some reason it's chipped exactly where it's going to be seen, so we'll touch up the paint. But it's got some M10 bolts coming for that, which is cool. We've got the rubber. This is a bit of rubber strapped around on the tank, and we put any more we need onto the actual strap itself. It's all painted up, ready to go. So happy with that. We might just take this off one more time and refit it because the seal has just popped out there. It's actually almost too tight. But that's fine, that's all dandy. We're going to find the wipers and we'll put them in a different box. That's the wiper bracket. Those have their own hardware on all the items that bolt onto it. Moving over here, we've got our wrapped up downpipe, that's ready to go. We do have to make an adjustment to this, but we'll do that right when we get the engine in the air, so we can get that downpipe on and just see how we need to adjust that. Hardware ordered for the clutch. These are a bit gnarled up and I haven't got any bolts the right length, too long, too short. So I've put them in place to remind me I have ordered them. Otherwise that's kind of ready to go, which is cool beans. Intake pipework all ready with its silicons and its jubilees, so that's all lovely and dandy. And then the main subframe, so same thing, we've got the nice new bolts ready for there. All of the hardware is ready to go. New rubber mounts, don't want to forget them because I'm going to take them to Max's with the car being painted and we'll bolt that on with those. So it's the 2 rubbers for the tops and then the bolts that go in. And then we're going to build this up, I think, pretty soon. It gets heavy when you start putting stuff on it, so I'm not doing it too early. Those boxes have got the hubs and stuff in it, and we'll probably leave the brake lines off until it's back here. Pointless putting them on and damaging them. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it. It looks quite nice. It's come up okay. It'll get filthy and knocked, I'm sure, but it might give it some protection for the weather for a while. So, got boxes and wrapping. We're going to box them up according to sort of area of the vehicle, subject, so that when we come to pull it all apart, to put it together again, hopefully it'll make sense. You know, engine mounts in one box, cooling another, braking in another, intake in another, etc. So that's the rest of my evening. Once again, listening to trains and watching the bats. Cool, have a cup of tea, see you all later. That's a wrap. Give it a thumbs up, see my other videos, appreciate your time.
Turn up. Let's go.